since we last met up, Trump got elected. How did you feel when you realized that he's winning the presidency? Because up until the election, Hillary was favored at every poll. So you just assumed she was going to win. And then the night of, you're watching the polls and you're like, oh, fuck, wait a minute. What's about to happen here? Like, what went through your mind that night?
A great deal of disappointment, but not so much surprise, because we live in a fame whore society. And like I say in my act on stage now, I didn't say much about anything during the election because I have Republican fans. I have Trump supporter fans that still like Luenell. I didn't want to alienate anybody. I just want, my money, no matter who pocket it came out of. But now the election's over and I'm saying what I feel. First of all, I feel like we as black people have white friends who grin in our face and still voted for Trump, number one. They're not out about it, sort of like being in the closet. But they go home and talk amongst their people and they feel a certain type of way. Just because they like you, black person, doesn't mean they like black people or can understand the plight of blacks, Latinos, gay, lesbian, straight. I mean, there's just a whole genre of people who live in their white bubble and they like it like that. People don't move to Calabasas and, Lake Arrowhead because they want to be around more ethnic people. They move out there because they want to have beautiful homes and get away from ethnic people unless they have the same type of money and are in the same class that they're in. So I start looking at some of my friends with the side eye and wondering, did you actually vote for Trump? He just did what he does. He's a fame whore. He rode the fame whore wave. We put way more stock into people on television than we do doctors and lawyers and everything like that. When he went from being a real estate mogul to having the apprentice, then it went from the apprentice to being the celebrity apprentice. Then he became very, very popular. He didn't have any sponsors that were saying, we're going to pull our money if you say this or you talk like that. He had his own money. He's a misogynistic, racist, and a pig. And in the 8 years that the Obamas have been in the White House, we've had to endure some of the most hurtful, insulting memes, cartoons, songs, incidents, stories for 8 years. And so I feel like we can say whatever we want to about him and his illiterate wife, that porn star, for the rest of the time that we have to deal with them. In the 8 years that Michelle was in the White House, we never even saw her in a bathing suit. I done seen this bitch's pussy and titties and bed with bitches and every fucking thing else. So I don't have any respect for the whole process anymore. I've always been a conspiracy theorist and thought that the government just has us all, cattle up and go vote just to keep everybody pacified, and they know what's going to happen anyway. And nobody should run an election where people get shoved around and pushed around and called names and spit on. And that's exactly what happened. And like he said, he could have stood in Times Square and shot somebody in the head and not lost a vote. And he's proved it to be correct. It is open season for all the racists to come out now because we've got Ku Klux Klan members back in the White House where they started. So I'm very, very disappointed in the situation. I have zero faith in the government right now. Black lives do not matter. Brown ones don't. Red ones don't. Yellow ones don't. Hairy ones don't. Only the white lives matter. I don't give a shit who sees this. Any of my friends, if you want to forsake me because of what I'm saying, can eat a dick. I don't give a fuck. Because this is the way I feel right now, and it's the way that a lot of us feel right now.
Well, I feel the one thing that kind of got glossed over And I remember I went on Twitter and said, I bet you that Donald Trump could have a video of him saying the N-word and it won't matter.
No, it won't matter.
And sure enough, a couple weeks later, they came forward and said that Trump was calling Lil Jon and Uncle Tom during one of the Apprentice tapings. Little John confirmed it, and yet no one seemed to care.
Nobody cares. We care, but what do our opinions matter? They matter not. Why is everybody shooting to kill in the streets? Why isn't anybody shooting to wound anymore? How can you tase a woman in a wheelchair and knock her to the ground? How come you can write a song like Fuck the Police 20 some odd years ago and it rings true in 2016 and 17? Why? Because nothing has really changed. It's just been masked. You know, we are at siege right now. We are at war right now in these streets. Me and my Mercedes can get pulled over and drug out the car and beat down on any given day. It don't matter that she was in Borat and all. That don't matter. Nothing matters. Nobody's safe. You're not safe. You look like an immigrant, Vlad. I don't know where you from.
I'm from Russia.
Or whatever your name is. You know, nobody's safe unless you're a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. They don't have any respect. Either him and his whole cabinet don't have any respect for women or anything like this. So I just am just not going to let it affect me. I'm still going to get my paper, hopefully. You know, praise God, I'm not on Section 8 and have an Obama phone because they're about to shut all that shit down. And I paid for my own daughter's education at college, so I don't have to worry about any grants or somebody coming to seize my home to try to take the money back for what I owe for my kids' education. It's just a big hot mess, and I'm sure we're being laughed at all over Europe and Asia and every place else. It's a pitiful shame.
I mean, yeah, because I was actually in London when the election happened, and literally everyone was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, yo, are you serious right now?
Right. We're a laughing stock. He wants to make America great again. It would be great again for him if in that White House they had a bunch of black people in the kitchen cooking and singing hymns, and they had a bunch of Latinos out there washing the cars and shining up the tires, and he had a couple of black chicks and Latin chicks up in that bed, warming that bed up for him at night. And that's the America he wants to see, and that's what he's about. That's probably what he's about to get.
Now, Trump is actually the first president in U.S. history that's had no political experience, no military experience, or no diplomatic experience. So he just came in with zero experience. Now, like I heard that The Rock was actually thinking about running for president next time. Do you think that we're now in a place where political experience, knowing how to do the actual job, just doesn't matter anymore? The most popular celebrity is going to start winning moving forward?
Yes, I do. You have to have more training to work at In-N-Out Burger than he has to be in the White House. You know, it's a popularity contest now. Even though I'm not a staunch Hillary supporter, she's already been in the White House. Her husband was the president of the United States. She gave her whole life to service. She's been in the Senate, everything like this. She knows everything about politics, which Donald Trump, I'm sure, has a bunch of advisors telling him everything. Does he realize he's going to have to give State of the Union speeches? That is going to be a laugh. I'm going to smoke a joint and give me a bottle of Henny and watch that one for sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Well, we got our fingers crossed. You know, we got.
I got these fingers crossed.